Hey, what's up guys? Toogie here, back again, and it is time to continue on with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks challenge here in FHM 4. Of course, the first episode was a whole lot of preparation. If anything, it took a lot longer than I would have thought, but it made sense. It gave me the opportunity to put together this short list of players that we will more than likely, we were able to get this short list of players and we'll more than likely look to acquire, we'll go with quite a few of them. As, again, this is a one-year challenge, so there's nothing holding us back from using all of our draft picks, using all of our prospects who aren't yet ready, to go out and make this a super team in effort to win this in year one, as is the goal. However, in terms of what move we're making first, I feel like there is only one move to make. When you're using the Anaheim Ducks, there is one player that you have to go back and get first and foremost above all else. And it's not Mike Knuble. It's Teemu Selanne, who of course at this point in time is with the San Jose Sharks, which is incredibly weird. Like incredibly weird to think of Teemu Selanne on the Sharks. Colorado, maybe. But envisioning him on the Sharks is just, it's not right. So we're going to change that, and we are going to look to bring him back to Anaheim. And to do so, I think the first thing we'll do here is add Joffrey Lupul to this trade. A 19-year-old Joffrey Lupul who is not anywhere near the NHL at this point in time. And a good way to balance out this trade would be to add somebody like, I think this would be Tom Cavanaugh, if I'm not mistaken. It is. That makes it hardly likely, though, which is a little bit unfortunate. What about Thomas? Is that enough to swing it into our favor? It didn't hurt, so it may help. Christian Ehrhoff will obviously avoid. What about Kraft here? Back into hardly likely. So they don't want to give up a center. What about Hansen? Hardly likely. All right, so maybe actually the addition of Scott Thomas isn't going to help out that much. What about Sundstrom? And still no. All right, so despite, offering to take back a couple of their weaker players, it hasn't really helped out. Sometimes that works. Now it is not the case. Let's go with the 9th round pick. Still not enough. How about the 8th round pick? Still not enough. There we go. All right, I think I'll be able to take these out. I will not. All right, so San Jose playing hardball a little bit here. But all in all, we wouldn't be giving up that much. Joffrey Lupul, an 8th, 7th, 8th, and 9th pick. They're not in order anymore. 3 very late draft picks in Joffrey Lupul for Teemu Selanne. And if I take Thomas out of the deal, it's still good, so I might as well not even take that contract back. I'm good with this. I'm good with this to bring Teemu Selanne back to Anaheim. Let's go ahead and offer that deal. Now, the question is, in terms of goaltending primarily, which I shouldn't even have really sorted that out, Jaguar, obviously in real life, did one hell of a job to carry this team to the Stanley Cup final. However, we're looking to upgrade. We need an insurance policy, and whether or not it's him that's going to be traded or it's going to be Dominik Hasek, I'm not quite sure, but we know we have Ed Belfour as an option, and of course the main option, the best option, would be Patrick Waugh. But of course, we'd probably have to give back some decent stuff here. Whoa, that's very weird. I guess it kept the previous offer for Jaguar. That's actually, or for Jaguar, for Waugh, which is actually pretty cool. We had Jaguar in this deal. I also had Joffrey Lupul in this deal. So this was what it would take at the very least to get Patrick Waugh. Which, looking back at this, actually, what if I take out Jaguar? Because I can't honestly remember what I did on this first attempt here. If we go to Ducks players and we go to Dominik Hasek, Hasek has a no-trade clause. All right, that explains why I would have put Jaguar into the deal. Backstrom is enough, though. Not that we need him, but then I can just move Jaguar to an Eastern Conference team so that we don't have to put up with him. So, 24-year-old Nicholas Backstrom, who's a decent goalie at this point in time, but nothing too special. The rights to Joffrey Lupul, P.A. Parenteau, a first and a second. I actually think that I want to do that. So we're going to have to renegotiate the deal for Selanne, but I'm more than okay with that. So let's move forward a little bit. In case in point, how it's been a little bit since I've played this, so I've managed to forget that detail, but that is okay. We'll give Trunka the number that he wants, and we'll give old Douglas Murray the number that he wants. As we, of course, are getting ready for the start of the regular season, as the autosave kicks in. Right, it's all well and good. We may just get Patrick Waugh before our second game of the season. Coincidentally, against Colorado, we shut out the Buffalo Sabres 3-0 in Game 1. So a strong start. Now, the Sharks have accepted the offer for Selanne. But again, I'm going to hold off to see if we can use Joffrey Lupul in this first trade. And Sandis Ocelan's a player that we brought up previously in the last episode, out for 4 months. Rough break there. Now, Colorado has accepted. So again, it would be Backstrom, decent enough goaltending prospect, even though he's 24 years old. The 2.5-star PA Parento, Joffrey Lupul, a first and a second for Patrick Waugh. Now, here's why, even though it's a very high price, I'm willing to pay it. Not only are we getting arguably the best goaltender in the game at this point in time, I mean, it's him or Brodeur. We could look at the stats to figure out which one exactly. I imagine that Martin Brodeur would happen to have the higher stats at this point in time. The key thing with this trade, we're weakening Colorado without giving them back anything that good, really. So, it makes sense. Let's do it. Patrick Waugh, welcome to Anaheim. Again, Parento, Lupul, Backstrom, a first and a second, are off to the Colorado Avalanche. And now we're immediately going to go back to the short list, and we are going to find Teemu Selanne. The first thing I'm going to do is take Waugh off of the short list, because of course we don't need him listed there anymore. We scroll down the right wings. Now, Selanne did pick up an injury. He's day-to-day with a facial cut. So that's tremendous. But we will look to make this deal happen. Of course, now that we don't have the rights to Joffrey Lupul anymore. What about Tim Brent? Well-balanced, at least. And Perreault, is that enough? It is not. Joel Perreault. Who else can we throw into this deal? I do want to try and reserve the draft picks as much as I can. Is Brigley enough? He is not. Is Martinson enough? You cannot offer more than 5. Okay, we'll take out the 9th, and we'll add Martinson to this deal. Still not enough. Let's take out the 8th. And I highly doubt at this point they have enough contract spots to make this happen. Let's add in, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's name. That is still not enough. All right, so we have put ourselves into a slightly more difficult spot in terms of being able to acquire Teemu Selanne. So it's not all bad, though. I mean, we got Patrick Waugh. I think we're gonna be all right. Before the Sharks here, let's go back to the half-star potential guys. I'll actually add in Thomas yet again. We'll still add in Tim Brent. And to be honest, it is looking like we're going to have to use a draft pick here. Perhaps a couple of them. But I am all right with that. So let's go with Martinson again. That's up to well-balanced. And you know what? Let's try this again. What about with Dan Bylsma? Not enough. Reardon? Not enough. And one more for the hell of it just to test it out. Still well-balanced. Now, well-balanced offers don't often go through, which is why I'm trying to rely on them. However, I'd like to think that we're just a draft pick away. Although, taking out Thomas and seeing that changed the trade, we could be in a good spot here. So let's go back to Thomas. Is Newberry too much? Yeah, it is. Like I said, I'm trying to see if, with these players in particular, okay, everyone's still going to change it back. So they're cool with getting rid of Thomas. I can understand why. They don't exactly want to get rid of anybody else, though. How's a 6th round pick? All right, well, apparently not bad. So thankfully, offering to take back Thomas's contract is a pretty big help, as it's looking like all it's going to take is Martinson, Tim Brent, and a 9th to get 32-year-old Teemu Selanne, which would be huge for us. Now we're going to go back to our short list yet again, because we're not done. In terms of the highest value players, seeing what we gave up for Waugh, I'm going to guess it's not the smartest move to try and get even more of these super high value players. 2.5 star, we have guys like McEachern and Knuble, which, to be honest, I'm going to target them first. We very well may just flip them, but I feel like it's a good way to start. So let's add Perreault to this. Let's see if there's anybody that Atlanta wants to get rid of. I mean, right now, of course, the team's looking a little bit rough. Kovalchuk's 19 years old, so, I mean, it's the Atlanta Thrashers. To say that they're looking a little bit rough isn't exactly a stretch. Still hardly likely. Are any of these guys going to make a difference? Probably not. So we'll still... we'll remove all of them. We'll keep it that way for now. Let's go back to our players. And who else do we have that we could add into this deal? What about... Okay, so we have Martinson. Let's go with Bilesma. Not enough. What about Bilesma and Chouinard? That gets it up to well-balanced. So we're having to give up a couple of 2.5 or a couple of 1.5 potential guys. Perreault, who's not that great of a prospect. And how about if we look at picks for next year? Is a 6th enough? It is not. Is a 6th and an 8th enough? It is. How about a 6th and a 9th? There we go. I'm good with it. Although, due diligence here. See if we can maybe drop that down to a 7th. We cannot. Alright, so that is the minimum offer. Bilesma, Chouinard, the rights to Perreault, a 9th and a 6th. And we'll offer that for McEachern, and we'll wait before we do anything else. So let's go back to setup organization here. Gets Patrick Waugh in goal. We have Waugh and Hasek. Waugh and Dominik Hasek as our 2 goaltenders. If we cannot win on that alone, and go figure, we lose to Colorado immediately 3-2. Although I do have to wonder who they had in goal for that game. Of course we lost to them immediately though, right? And you know what? I'm not even going to complain about it. That's just karma for taking the legend away from their team. We actually lost to Chicago in a follow-up. So not ideal. We make a pretty big trade, and it backfires in terms of us losing the next 2 games. Now, unfortunately, we're in a little bit of trouble here. Whereas we might lose Mark Streit and J.S. Jaguar for nothing, which would be kind of devastating. They're on waivers. What can I do with Jaguar? Can I call you up to the NHL? Just to try and save you and hopefully not lose you for nothing. And I also want to go to depth and make sure that we're not going to lose Mark Streit, who is, of course, one of the free agent signings we had, if I'm not mistaken. I'm also going to call you up to the NHL. And we'll see who I have to send down, because I imagine I'll have to send down somebody, just to try and avoid this situation. I'll just try to hit continue from here. Actually, let me see. Did I miss an offer? I did not. Alright, so we should be okay. Maybe. It would be kind of devastating to have that happen as Vancouver waives Daniel Sedin. Which, imagine if we could claim Daniel Sedin. As we get a look at the waiver list, oh my god. There are so many people on waivers right now. In terms of who we could take, can I, like, seriously get Daniel Sedin right now off of waivers? That would be amazing. Daniel Sedin has been claimed. Vancouver has potentially let go of Daniel Sedin. Now, here's the thing. Actually, it's showing that he's our player now. That would be incredible if we were just able to pluck Daniel Sedin away. And we were, as he is on the Manitoba Moose. Although it still says contracted to Vancouver. So I imagine it depends on if anyone else put in an offer for him, right? So let's put in a claim on Samuelson. And let's put in an offer on, I believe this would be Sammy Kapanen. So let's go ahead and put in an offer on all 3 of those players, and hopefully that will still work out in our favor. And also, the 2 trades have been accepted. So Teemu, Selanne, welcome back to the Ducks. And Sean McEachern, welcome to Anaheim as well. So the one thing I want to do here, because the roster is going to be a tad bit overloaded, is we need to go ahead and make a trade here moving Jaguar out of town so that we don't risk losing him on waivers. Jaguar and Strite. I want to move both of them just to make sure nothing happens here. So we actually got to go back to roster. Let's go to the short list and let's go big here. Let's go big here. How big can we go with this trade? We're about to find out. So Jaromir Jagr. I would like to add J.S. Jaguar to this deal. I would also like to add Mark Strite to this deal, and we are still not even close. However, we do have guys like Kunitz and Franzen that we can add to this. What about Chris Kunitz? Still not close. And Johan Franzen? Still not close. Okay, so in terms of getting someone like Jaromir Jagr, not going to happen. Not going to happen, but that's okay. We will look for a 4.5-star player. And why not go... Oh, boy, you know what? Because I think I would rather deal with an Eastern Conference team here. So we have Lidstrom. We have Joe Thornton, who would still be in Boston. But I'm thinking Sergei Fedorov. I'm thinking Fedorov might be the guy to get here from Detroit. Although the Red Wings are, of course, in the Western Conference at this point in time. So that is not ideal. That is not ideal in the slightest. So perhaps we'll target Joe Thornton, which could work out. Why not? Let's bring him, instead of, one California team, let's bring him to another. Let's break my heart all over again and acquire Joe Thornton from Boston. If we can. We don't know if we can get a 4.5-star player. The asking price might be too high. So let's go back over here. And again, Jaguar needs to be a part of this deal. Mark Strite needs to be a part of this deal. Kunitz, Franzen, and that still didn't get it to balanced. Damn. So second round pick gets it to balanced. Can I do the whole, adding a bunch of nobodies to the deal, like Colton Orr? And will that help swing it in my favor, is the question. Let's also go for Grosek. And there you go. Case in point, we get it from well balanced to them more than likely accepting. This is a gigantic trade. Absolutely. Moving Jaguar, Strite, Kunitz, Franzen, and a second, but we would be acquiring Joe Thornton. The question is, and there's always different approaches to take, do I try to spread the wealth here? Do I send Jaguar and Kunitz to one team for like a 3-star player and Strite and Franzen to another team for a different 3-star player? That is always the question. But we know we have a deal in place for Thornton. And if I actually go back to our roster page here, the lowest rated guys we have in the lineup are 1.5-star guys. So we could use a little bit more depth. But the only real game changer we have right now is Paul Kariya. Imagine a Kariya, Thornton, Selanne top line. That could be potentially what we're looking at. I think we got to go for it. I think we have to go for it. Let's go big here. If this will bring me right back to the trade page, and it will, let's offer this trade for Joe Thornton, and hopefully I can continue without making a move here. Samuelsson has officially been claimed. We have Samuelsson, Daniel Sedin, and Sami Kapanen. It's not even fair that we were able to snag these players, and of course, they're going to be dealt. Someone like Daniel Sedin, decent enough player, maybe he'll be kept, but that means someone else is getting dealt. So that is a tremendous pickup for us. And like I said, hopefully we can move Jaguar and Strite out of town. We also picked up Mikhail Samuelsson, so I'm feeling pretty good. And Sami Kapanen, who's going to be pretty pissed that he's not getting his number, but it is what it is. Also, the season preview is out, where the early cup favorites appear to be Anaheim, which I can't help but assume that wouldn't have been the case had I not made the early moves that we've made already. Detroit and Dallas are also contenders, so the Western Conference is a little bit ridiculous. St. Louis is also there as well. The scoring race expected to be won by either Jagr, Lemieux, or Joe Thornton. So I'm feeling pretty good about our targeting here. As far as the top defensemen in the league, Lidstrom, McInnes, and Pronger. So St. Louis, of course, with the two-headed monster of McInnes and Pronger. That's going to be a problem. Top goaltenders, Martin Brodeur, Roberto Luongo, and Patrick Waugh. So this has been crazy, and a deal done by New Jersey. Brian Ralston going back to the Devils along with a 5th-round pick for Brian Rafalski. Now, I love Brian Ralston, but my God, if the Bruins had been able to pick up Brian Rafalski, that would have been unreal. As Selanne wants to change his number, I'm cool with everyone changing their number. No problem. Can you imagine number 4, Daniel Sedin? Also, again, I want to make sure I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it in time. Who can I send down that's not a major concern? LeClaire, I know you just changed your number. I would much rather lose you than Samuelson, Kapanen, or Streit. I'm going to potentially lose people on waivers here. I might be able to cheat this a little bit, hopefully, but I am in danger of losing some players, and this is what happens when you get too many players too soon. As Jaguar been waived, Streit and Daniel Sedin have been waived. Not good. Not good at all. All of the players we just sent down are on waivers. There's a really good chance we're going to lose some people here, which there's nothing I could do about it. There's only, it was only so long that I could fight this. Although, let me double check here. So yeah, it still shows Streit on the active roster. There's nothing I can do. They're on waivers. So there's a chance that we're just flat out going to lose people, which if we do, we do. This is the issue, of course, with signing free agents. So we will see what happens. As again, we have to assign numbers. This might be the most tedious thing about this game, which once we're ready to get into the crazy amount of simming, I won't have to worry about it. But for these early stages where we're still making chances, it's kind of an issue. So as far as waivers go, let me take a look at the transaction log here. Did we lose anybody? Or did they all clear waivers, which would be incredible? Because I'm not seeing anything. It just says sent down, picked up from waivers, Kapanen and Sedin. I think they all cleared waivers. Oh my God, they all cleared waivers. Maybe. At least that's what it looks like, and if that's the case, holy hell, is that highway robbery. That would be incredible, as we have a game here coming up against St. Louis, which we will be simming. Adam Oates is on our 4th line with 2 goons. That has to change. We'll be simming this game here. Of course, that was the end of the preseason, as we do lose 5-2. So again, our roster still isn't set. I haven't changed our strategies either, but we do drop our first game of the season. And of course, it would be a disaster as well to lose those players on waivers. And it would have been my fault completely for not changing the strategies and making sure that the goons were sent down. However, Jaguar and Streit cleared waivers, which means they can be a part of this trade alongside Kunitz and Franzen and a 2nd-round pick from Atlanta. They're all going to Boston for Joe Thornton, Colton Orr, Michael Grosek. Welcome, all 3 of you, to Anaheim. Joe Thornton to the Ducks. He will not be a Shark. We will save him from that. Joe Thornton, the new top-line center with Korea and Selanne. Insane. Now, give me a moment here. I do want to change up the strategies just so that we're pretty much good to go. Now, we are fit for a good amount of systems. We're not really fit for puck control, but that is the system that I want us to play right now. I'm going to go puck control and 2-3 zone, and we're going to test that out to see how that works. But these are the 2 strategies I've had the most success with. It still keeps Brown and Sawyer in the lineup, though, which I'm kind of surprised by. And to be honest, it kind of gives me a reason to trade them. They're both 2-star players. I just don't like the fact that they're enforcers. Now, this is a young Mike Brown, a handlebar mustache and all, who is one hell of a goon. But I don't exactly need that on this team. At least I don't feel like. that I need that on this team. I'm cool with going, for the most part, with a good amount of skill. But again, ideally, we'll have the 2 skill lines. And then, you know, someone like Adam Oates, who gets stuck on the 3rd line, he's stuck playing more of, you know, the checking forward role that he's not really suited for. So perhaps it's not the worst idea to keep said goons. I am a little bit worried about Adam Oates. But the Joe Thornton trade is done. And as far as trading goes, we are not done. Not yet. So, Ed Belfour, we can remove you from the shortlist. You will not be coming to Anaheim anytime soon. We'll also be able to take Joe Thornton off of this list, since he is already on the team. Now, Yager, Lemieux, funny enough, I'm still going to leave them there. I have to get Scott Niedermayer, don't I? I feel like I have to. I feel like it's a requirement, using the Anaheim Ducks to get Teemu, Selanne and to bring in Scott Niedermayer. However, the smarter move would potentially be to try and weaken Western Conference opponents, but the problem with that is I don't really have a ton of prospects to make that happen. Like, there's no... I mean, the easiest way is to try and use prospects and trade all of your picks for really good players in your conference, and then flip those really good players to the Eastern Conference to get back some depth. Or just keep them. So I still think for the moment, while I have half-decent prospects, I need to target people in the West. But Niedermayer might be someone worth getting. So let's see here. Washington, Pittsburgh, of course, Joe Sakic in Colorado. I don't really see that happening. Lidstrom in Detroit. I don't really see that happening. McInnes, Pronger, and Fedorov. All in the Western Conference. Who is our second center right now? It's Andy McDonald. We also have Matt Cullen and Sammy Paulson. Right. And of course, Adam Oates can also play center if need be. So we have some good center depth. We have some pretty good center depth. And to be honest, trading Adam Oates to the Eastern Conference might not be the worst idea. An effort of bringing in another right wing. Because right now we have McEachern, Selanne, and Sikora, who are good on the right. McEachern's playing on the left-hand side, too. Alright, so you know what? Let's go back to roster here. So many different moves, and I gotta make sure that I'm making the right ones here. So let's go back. Eastern Conference, Scott Niedermayer. I still think that I want to target Niedermayer here. So let's see who we can get. And again, prospects, they're better suited for Western Conference trading. So I want to get rid of players like, I think I'm going to get rid of Brown here, and I'm going to get rid of Sawyer. I'm going to try to trade our enforcers. We might not be the toughest team, but we'll be the most skilled team, that's for sure. So Mike Brown and Kevin Sawyer. We will also look to add, more than likely, Adam Oates here. If we look by position and we look at our centers, we have Cullen, Holmqvist, McDonald, Oates, Paulson, Ruchin, and Thornton. So Thornton, Ruchin, McDonald, and Cullen. There we go. Those are our four. Adam Oates is Oates decent at playing the wing? Not really. Not really. Center is his best spot. He's also 40 years old at this point. He's not going to have a ton of value because of that. I'm still going to add him into this deal. From there, we'll look to use draft picks. So how about a second rounder next year and a fourth rounder this year? That's not enough. How about the third rounder? Also not enough. What about the first rounder next year? I'll take out the second. What about the fourth? There we go. So we're going to have to use a first round pick to do this, but we're moving a 40-year-old center and 2 enforcers, along with draft picks for Scott Niedermayer. I'm cool with that. Is there a 9th round pick that I can use here? No, it's going to have to be an 8th. There we go. All right, so we'll send this offer out. Sawyer, Brown, Oates, a first and an eighth for Scott Niedermayer, and we will wait for that to go through. Now, we are playing the second game of a back-to-back here. We're playing the Dallas Stars. Of course, I'm not sure what their lineup looks like right now, but Marty Turco is in goal for them. And it ends in a tie, a scoreless tie. Of course, ties were a thing at this stage of the game. We do pick up our first point. Our first point, hopefully of many, in this season. Lubomir Sekera's out for 5 months. That's a rough break for Minnesota, as Joe Thornton wants his number, so we will gladly assign that to him. Now again, once the roster's set up, we're going to be able to breeze through the rest of this season. It's just a matter of getting all the dominoes into place. The Devils have accepted Sawyer, Brown, Oates, a first and an eighth to New Jersey for Scott Niedermayer. Ridiculous. We are well on our way to building a super team. We're arguably already there, and we're not done yet. Our new top pairing, Niedermayer and Zidlichki, Havlid, Surrey, Saleh, and Vishnevsky. Craziness. And that gets Leclerc and Holmqvist into the lineup. Keith Carney, a 2.0 rated defenseman. Kurt Sauer as well, a 2.0 rated defenseman, are both currently scratched. But that does go to show that we could still use a little bit of help when it comes to our forwards at the moment. I also don't like that we have a couple of 1.5-star guys in the lineup when it comes to forwards. So the question is, if we want to go with the strategy, we should probably look just outright for replacements on the bottom 6. I think that should be the main setup right now. Also, before I forget, goalie starts. I do want to lock these settings, use goalie start settings. Start the hottest goalie will be a 3. Best rested goalie will be a 2. Alternate in back-to-back games is the most important. Start the best goalie as a 2. Backup start frequency is a 2. Stick with starter during the playoffs will be a 3. So there we go. We're going to roll with those goaltending settings. And then as far as the power play goes, because we didn't set that up the first time, we will run with the overload. Motion 2-3 could work, but I'm going to try to stick with my primary setups here, if I can even remember them at this point, although diamond might work. Aggressive box, diamond, tandem pressure, or closing the office. You know, let's go tandem pressure. Let's be aggressive here. So we'll create lines. Power play and the penalty kill are now good to go. And now that we have Niedermayer, again, it'll be good to look for other improvements. So when it comes to this team, let's actually take a look at our depth here. So Niedermayer, Zidlichki, Surrey, Vishnevsky, Havlid, Saleh, Carney, and Sauer. Douglas Murray could be the next one to go. There are some other defensive guys that we could get rid of here to look for upgrades, but it's looking like Ruslan Saleh as the 6th guy is the one most in danger if we want to look to improve the defense, which we do because we still have plenty of pieces to move. But it would also be worth looking, mainly in terms of forwards, which is what I'm going to sort this by. I want to see who the best defensive forwards are that are available to us here. So checking face-off, hitting, positioning, shot blocking, stick checking, and defensive read. Let's go for defensive positioning. It's Pavel Datsyuk. No surprise. Fedorov, Sako Koivu, Mike Modano are the only 3 18s in the group. But then you get Radek Dvorak here, who's at least a 3-star guy, based on who we had on the short list. Quite injury-prone, but a very versatile player, as you can tell there. Left wing is a bit of a weakness, but he can play center and right wing no problem, and is also a very good defensive shutdown player. I think the perfect addition to our bottom 6, quite frankly. So I'm going to target Radek Dvorak here, even though I am a little bit afraid of his injury-prone ways. He's still someone worth going after here. Of course, he's also in the Eastern Conference, so I know I had to use draft picks to get Niedermayer, but right now I'm also a tad bit worried about just making sure we get who we need. So, let's see here. As far as the 1.5 star guys go, Smirnoff's in the lineup. Reardon is not. We can actually get rid of Reardon. So we also had, if I can sort this again, geez, who did we have here? We had Leclerc, Holmqvist, and Valisevic were all in the lineup. So someone like O'Sullivan could also be added into this. And from here, someone like Brigley, Grosek, Thomas, and Orr, we're just going to outright release them. I want to save Bieksa and Burrows. Actually, will Brigley add to this? He won't. He will not. Let's add... It's either Leclerc, Holmqvist, or Valisevic, and to be honest, it doesn't really matter because they're all going to be traded, I'd say. So let's add Rob Valisevic into this deal. We are going to have to rely on draft picks, hopefully not too many. Let's go for the third and then see if there's anybody kind of on the lower end of the scale from the Rangers that we can pick off here. What about Gernander? There we go. Quick and easy. So a 3rd round pick and 3 throwaways for Radek Dvorak. And we'll see if that goes through. Although I believe the proper way to pronounce it that I was hearing was Dvorak or something similar to that. Kind of a weird spelling. We have no money for free agents. Absolutely zero. I was going to check to see if I can make an offer for Brizgalov. No. The answer is no. That is simply not going to happen. Now we have a game coming up here against Detroit. We will look to sim this, and hopefully whoever's in goal for us, it's Patrick Waugh, can lead us to victory, our first of the season, and indeed he can. It's a 4-1 win over Cujo and the Detroit Red Wings, which leads us to a lovely little email, which is Holmqvist improving at right wing. He's not going to be around for that much longer, but that's good to know. That is good to know. Players need to be assigned numbers. Again, my favorite thing. My favorite. This is one of the things I think you can actually just assign, this responsibility to the AI GM. I just haven't gone through and set that up yet, so it is what it is. Detroit's accepted the offer. New York has accepted the offer. Reardon, O'Sullivan, Valisevic, and a 3rd to the Rangers for Radek Dvorak and Ken Gernander. So let's get that deal done. Hopefully I'm correct, and it puts Dvorak on the 3rd or 4th line, and indeed it does. He slots in on that 3rd line, and what a combination that's going to be. Smirnoff, Cullen, and Dvorak, although I might look to move Dvorak out. And also might be a good idea to move McDonald and McEachern out as well. But for right now, well, actually, let's keep that in mind. If we actually go back to this team here, we could slightly improve the 2nd line. McDonald and McEachern are both 2.5 star guys, as is Sikora for that matter. But again, 2.5 is very good. 2.5 is very good. To be honest, I think I still want to improve the bottom 6. I want this team to be ridiculous top to bottom. So I'm not just going to go out, because they have changed this in one of the more recent patches, is with everybody, of course, they get a defined player role, but you got to make sure that players can actually fit into their roles or they're not going to be that effective. So it doesn't make sense to go out here and get 3 more tremendous right wings and have Teemu Selanne be on the 4th line where he's going to be playing a role that doesn't make all that much sense for him. So we're going to still look to improve the bottom 6, and we are still going to more than likely look to improve our defense even further. So let's still focus on the bottom 6, because I feel like that's still going to be a relatively cheap task. So again, back to the short list, back to filter, sort out by forwards, and we'll see who is solid defensively yet again. So if we look at positioning, let's take a look at Pavel Datsyuk. Is he Pavel Datsyuk at this point? 3-star ability. So probably still better suited for a top 6 role. So he might not be the guy to go out and get. What about Saku Koivu, who is probably way up there now that I think about it in terms of rating? 3.5, but my God, is he injury prone, which is Very unfortunate. Ronnie Francis. What's Francis look like at this point in time? 3-star guy, not too bad. 39 years old. And as a veteran, he would be a little bit easier to get. He's not much of a shot blocker, but defensively, very strong, and obviously can still chip in offensively. So Francis is also an option. We also have Hossa and Marlowe as perhaps some of the better targets. Hossa's a 4.5-star guy, though. He's already a beast in Ottawa, and I imagine Marlowe's pretty solid, too. I'm going to look to target Ron Francis here. I think he could be a very strong addition. It is another Eastern Conference team, so I am willing to use guys like Smirnoff, like Holmqvist, and like Leclerc. Although, I don't really want to get into moving the 2-star guys yet, but I kind of have to. Unless I get rid of all these guys at once. Let's go with Leclerc. That's well balanced, beautiful. So see, case in point, it's beneficial on some occasions to go after a veteran because they're a little bit easier to get. We'll add Bast because he has a great name to this. That is not going to work, though. What about Watt? Still no. We might be able to find the one magic player that puts us into the positives, although it's not looking too good. What about Lysak? Hardly likely. Actually, it might not work. All right, so we will rely on draft picks. What about an 8th? Not enough. What about a 7th? Not enough. A 6th. There we go. So Leclerc and a 6th for Ronnie Francis. I'm more than all right with that. I'm going to look for another guy here in terms of a defensive addition. Got to sort it out by forwards, though, again, unfortunately, but that's all right. Got nothing but time. Nothing but time. So let's see. Defense. Defense. I went to stats instead of ratings. What an amateur. Positioning. Who do we have? Who do we have? Even if we're looking at the 16s here, Rod Brindamore, Simon Gagne. Not much in terms of shot blocking there, though. Brindamore is a tad bit better defensively still. Someone like David Legwan at least still has a 16 for positioning. Brian Ralston was just traded, so I don't believe he'll get moved again. So we'll take him off of the list. We also have Williams, Young, and someone like Zetterberg. I can actually remove Dvorak from the list as well. Let's take a look at Rod Brindamore, who will also be somewhat of an older player, 32 years old, can play left wing if needed, which is pretty huge. All right, Brindamore might be a strong addition. I want to take a look at Williams here. Let's see, old Justin Williams, a tad bit injury prone. Can play both wings, no problem. Pretty well rounded. If anything, I think the perfect guy for our third line at a 3-star rating. Let's do it. I'm definitely taking a risk going after some of these guys that are a tad bit more injury prone, but it should hopefully pay off. We'll add Holmqvist to this deal, and we will also add Leclerc. Holmqvist, actually not Leclerc. I meant Smirnoff because we had Leclerc on the other deal. So let's add Smirnoff to the deal. Let's see if there's anybody we can throw in there to kind of balance things out. What about Sacco? That brings it to well balanced. And what about Prince? Hardly likely. All right, so I think Joe Sacco is going to help us out quite a bit. We'll go to the draft picks. We'll go down a couple of years. What about a 5th? That works. Sweet. What about a 7th? That does not. We'll try the 6th. That doesn't work either, so we'll go with the 5th round pick. So Holmqvist, Smirnoff, and a 5th for Justin Williams and Joe Sacco, who we'll let go of fairly quickly. We, of course, have that 1-1 record. Pronger is out for 7 months, which is good news for us, at least. Being a Western Conference team, that may potentially sink the Blues season very early on, as we get ready to play the LA Kings. They have Jamie Storr between the pipes, and it's a 3-0 win. The shutout victory for Dominik Hasek. Only 8 saves, a dominant performance. 43 shots to 8. Again, I'm not done improving this team, and we just outshot LA to that extent. We're in a pretty good spot. Of course, when it's a one-year challenge, to me, it's about beating the challenge. I don't really care to kind of, you know, keep it like, oh, let's not do too much. No, it's about winning the challenge in year one. And from the looks of it, we're going to be in a pretty damn good spot to potentially do that, as we're going up against Peter Skudra. Hasek will get yet another start after the shutout, and it's a 7-0 win. They did put up 22 shots, so Hasek had a much more difficult job ahead of him on this occasion, but we do get the win. Sean McEachern is converted to a left wing, and the trade offers have come through. So Mike LeClaire and a 6th are off to Carolina for Ron Francis. Holmqvist, Smirnoff, and a 5th are off to Philadelphia for Justin Williams and Joe Sacco. So let's complete both of those trades as the rich keep getting richer. And we'll see what these new lines look like, as it's now Korea, Thornton, Selanne, Sedin, Francis, Sikora, McEachern, Colin Dvorak, Paulson, McDonald, and Williams. I am shocked that it called up Daniel Sedin. I honestly wasn't expecting that. Sedin is only a 1.5-star guy. Now, he does have potential and is still perhaps decent for the role, but I can't help but wonder who is more than likely going to be on waivers now because of that. Although I don't currently see anyone in that situation. What I am going to do here, though, is we are going to buy out Colton Orr, and just to get rid of the guys that we don't necessarily need, even though we don't have the free agent, even though we don't have the money in free agency to bring anybody else back in. And we're going to buy out the rights to Scott Thomas here, who just isn't going to be able to be traded. No teams are going to want him, even for like a nothing pick. Ken Gernander as well. Have a nice payday. Joe Sacco, you're next. Have a nice payday. It's not my money, so what do I care? What, are you going to fire me after one season? Cool, do it after I win you a cup. I'll also buy out Grosek. So nothing but paydays here. Hey, this team is still owned by Disney. You can't tell me Disney can't afford this. Although, we need a goalie. We need a backup goaltender. So in one of these deals, I'm going to look to just add somebody into the mix just in case someone goes down with injury. Travis Brigley as well. He is just not going to make this team. So we'll let go of him. And there we go. So we have our 5, 10, 15, 16. Not bad. We still need a little bit more depth here. And of course we have defensemen that we can get rid of. So again, we go back to strategy. Daniel Sedin's absolutely going to be moved. I know why he was called up, because I traded one too many players. So we are going to look to get one more third line kind of guy. And that'll give us room to move Daniel Sedin to a Western Conference team, where we will look to take more than likely one of their defensemen, one of their star players if we can. We'll try to use whatever major draft picks we can to do that. And then more than likely, we may have to flip that star to the Eastern Conference. But let's see here. I can remove Niedermayer from the short list. So like Yager, we might as well get rid of. That's not going to happen. Lemieux, that is also not going to happen. To be honest, I think the rest of the 4.5-star guys are also out of the question. So let's just take them off the list, even though it takes a little bit of time to load. But again, I got nothing but time. I'm also going to remove Sandis Ojoland from the list here, since we know he's out for the majority of the season. I think it was 4 months for him and 7 months for Pronger, which again, that Pronger injury is huge for us. That is a major victory for us without us actually winning a game. So we'll take Hossa and Fedorov off of the list. So we need one more defense-first kind of player as an improvement. And then we're actually going to focus on improving the defense itself. So let's see. Go back one more time to our defensive ratings. I also just noticed that Selanne was still on this list as well. Let's take him out of there. And let's look. So positioning, again, Datsuk, Koivu, Marlowe, Brindamore, and Francis, who are both on the team. So, you know, actually, yeah. What am I doing here? Hold on, let me go back to info. Let me go back to info. Did I not trade? Oh, that's right. I didn't trade for Brindamore. What am I saying? I traded for. I was looking at Brindamore. I'm like, wait a second. Let's not do that just yet. And we'll take Williams off of the list as well. There is a good chance though that Brindamore may be the guy, especially with him being an older player. So let's see here. Again, Datsu, Koivu, Madano. None of those guys are going to work. I prefer them to still have a 16. We have Young and Legwand are the two names really sticking out here. Young is a 3-star guy, primarily a right wing, but 35 years old, Scott Young. It's not too bad. And let's look at David Legwand, who's got to be in his early 20s at this point in time. 22 years old from Detroit, Michigan. 3-star player. Look at the ratings. Yeah, I'm cool with getting David Legwand. He can play center or right wing without a problem. So let's do this. Let's see if we can get David Legwand. And to do that, again, I don't want to use Daniel Steen with this specific trade. And we do have someone like Kevin Bieksa, Popovich. I don't believe Popovich is playing defense for us right now. If we look at our highest rated players, defense, we have Niedermayer, Zidlichki, Surrey. What else do we have? Havlid, Saleh, Vishnevsky, Carney. So anyone below those guys can be moved. And I want to move Jan Heda. Although he's not the best prospect, Heda. You know, we might as well make this work. And it is a Western Conference opponent, in fairness. So let's throw Kevin Bieksa into the mix. And let's also throw Jan Heda into the mix. It might take a little bit more. It might take a little bit more. Let's go to press players. Let's see what we have here. We'll add Darren Hadar. That brings it up to well balanced, perfect. And now we use the draft picks. Let's see, is a 5th round pick enough? No, it is not. What about a 4th? What if I take out the 5th? How about a 4th and an 8th? Beautiful. So Bieksa, Heda, a 4th and an 8th for David Legwand and Darren Hadar. I will take it. And now we'll look to move Daniel Sedin and get that upgrade, especially if Sean McEachran's good enough to run on the 3rd line. If McEachran's good enough to run on the 3rd line, it'll all kind of work itself out, although I'm a little bit concerned about Sammy Paulson. He's the one guy right now who's like way out of his element on that 4th line. But that may change. Actually, you know, I want to take a look at Daniel Sedin's stats. Let's take a look at old Daniel Sedin here. He's only a 1.5-star guy. Of course, he's got the potential, but we don't have time. And damn! I was about to say damn Daniel, and maybe I should have gone with it. 18 passing, 18 offensive read. So, yeah. I mean, his defense isn't there. But offensively, it might be worth keeping him. It just might be. Bravery, determination, I mean, the temperament and professionalism's there. He's still a relatively good skater. The offensive abilities, they're already there. 15 shooting accuracy. He might be worth keeping. Or he might have just that much more value that makes it worth. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it then, if I'm going to trade him, it should probably be to an Eastern Conference team. So, as much as I'd love to weaken other opponents in the West, I think an Eastern Conference team is the team to target. And Dany Heatley would be a nice person to pick up here, but at 5-star potential, I'm going to remove him from the list. That's going to be a little bit too expensive. Same thing with Zdeno Chara at 4.5-star potential, and Vinny LeCavalier. They're going to be just a little bit too pricey at this point in time. So looking at the 4-star guys, Richards, Brendan Shanahan, but he's from, of course, a Western Conference team at this point in time. Richards on Tampa, and Sundin on Toronto. Richards can play center or right. He can also play left, but he's not the best left wing in the world. So like I said, if we're moving Daniel Sedin here, actually, let me take a look at Brad Richards, because I don't know, man. It's just, it might be a little bit too weird to have Daniel Sedin in Anaheim. It might just be a little bit too weird. Nah, I didn't want to look at Shanahan, but I was going to say we might as well look, but no, I'm not going to include him in this deal. I don't want to send Sedin to Detroit when it turns out he is already pretty capable offensively. But I am looking for a more complete player, and Brad Richards is that. The offensive read's up there. The defense is up there. He's actually, I mean, in terms of the passing, he's not quite at Daniel Sedin's level, but he's obviously the more complete player. And that's what I'm looking for. So let's see what we can do here. We'll look to use Daniel Sedin in this trade, who does have 4.5-star potential. And, oh man, I didn't realize he had 4.5-star potential. I didn't even realize. Who were some of the players that I just took off the list? Chara. You know what? Let me go back to home. Let me go back to trade offer. I think I took Heatley off the list as well. But with Daniel Sedin, I didn't realize he was that good potential-wise when we claimed him off of waivers. You know, there might be someone else that might actually still be in the realm of possibility. It's worth a shot. We'll go talk about Dany Heatley after this. But, I mean, if this works, we're good. So right now they're at hardly likely. Just to be expected. We'll also look to add Kevin Bieksa into the deal. What about Jan Heda? Still only at hardly likely. Is there anybody on Washington that they're alright with giving up? Let's go after the other Peter Sikora. Let's go after Graham Mink, because his last name is Mink. And we'll also go after Ferraro here. That's not enough to boost it up. Yager's going to be a bit too much here. What about a first and a second? Yeah, that only gets it to well-balanced. You know, it's just going to be a little bit too much. So what if we go and talk to the Atlanta Thrashers about their best player, one Dany Heatley. We'll take out the draft picks. To be honest, we might even be able to get a little bit of a return here, and we could do the same with Brad Richards. But let's see. Daniel Sedin. That's well balanced. So I could go and get Dany Heatley for not all that much, all things considered. I want to take a look here, though. He has 2 points in 4 games so far this season. Good God. Oh, he's a monster. Mr. 50 and 07 can play either wing, and for that, I think he has to be the target. I think he has to be. Let's go to our picks. Is a 4th round pick enough? It's not. What can I do in terms of throwing players into the mix? Let's throw in, not Gamache, unfortunately. This dude, whose name I can't pronounce. What about a 5th? And a 7th? And an 8th? No, it was worth a shot. So I can get Brad Richards and a decent return. Like Brad Richards and a low-end pick, or I can just go in for Dany Heatley and have to give up a little bit more to make it happen. And I think for that reason, I'm willing to make this happen. Let's go and add Kevin Bieksa. And that's enough. What if I take out the 4th? Still enough. Take out the 3rd. Still enough. Daniel Sedin and Kevin Bieksa, the Vancouver special, to Atlanta. Basically for Dany Heatley. We got Daniel Sedin off of waivers for free. And there is a chance that we are about to turn him into Dany Heatley. It's just not fair. Daniel, you go ahead and get your number, buddy. It's like your last meal here in Anaheim. Have your number. It's all well and good. We'll be nice to you all day long before we kick you out of town. Ron Francis, you can wear the number 47, buddy. As we play Colorado, we'll see if we can get a little bit of revenge. Obviously, things are a little bit different for us now. Playing the Avalanche, they have Peter Budaj between the pipes, who has done very well. Dominik Hasek still has control of the crease, and we get the 3-1 win. Hasek is on a roll, and he could very well continue to outduel Patrick Waugh in terms of being our starter. Both trades have been accepted. Daniel Sedin and Kevin Bieksa to Atlanta for Dany Heatley. And oh, I fucked up. How many of you were yelling at me? Like, no, you had Bieksa in the other deal. So it's Hayda, a 4th and an 8th for Legwand and Hadar. All right, let's go back. Hayda, a 4th and an 8th. That's all right. That's a slight setback. It's my fault. Hayda. Let me go to Nashville. I didn't even think because you could tell. I got so sidetracked by being like, really? This might happen for Dany Heatley. So it was Hayda, a 4th and an 8th, which won't get us close. We're still going to need one more prospect, which is fine. We will use this dude, who's not a prospect. Can I take out the 8th? I can. Not, unfortunately. All right, so back to picks. We'll use the 8th, and we'll see if that goes through. So we just put different players into the role. Let's see what the organization looks like now. And my God, this team is sweet. Oh, this team is sweet. So it's Korea, Thornton, Heatley, McEachern, Francis, Selanne. 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4s, 5 out of 5s in some cases. Williams, Cullen, Sikora is an ungodly third line. The fourth line, still a tad bit of a concern with 2 out of 3s and a 1 out of 2, but Paulson, McDonald, and Dvorak. That's insane. I'm surprised McEachern's still on the second line. But it makes me wonder maybe if I should do some manual changes once we get to the playoffs. Like, is there anything better that Sammy Paulson can be? He'd be more suited for a goon. I could use him as a grinder and a punishing forward. He'd at least be 2 out of 3. So at least there's something that Paulson can do so that he's still in a decent enough role on the fourth line. Same with McDonald and Dvorak, and that's what I was wondering, is it worth keeping Paulson on that fourth line if he can't be above like a 1 out of 2? Which thankfully he can be. So we might be good to go. We might be able to get a decent amount of simming done here. Although, now, once we get... although we are bringing in David Legwand, apparently, who we might not need. But, again, certain deals went through that I wasn't exactly expecting. So I don't think we need David Legwand right now. We can probably just keep this team the same, sim to the trade deadline, and figure out if we need any more changes, at least offensively. Defensively... Actually, even defensively, I mean, the lowest rated guy we have in on defense is a 2. And Havlad's scratched. We also have Sauer and Douglas Murray. So this team is already ridiculous. And it could get even better. I mean, it could get better right now as well, because if you look at our current assets in terms of picks, we still have some decent picks, including a first rounder to work with, and we still have prospects to work with. So for the moment, you know what, man? I mean, again, I don't think Yager's in the conversation anymore. But let's get Brad Richards would have still been on the list. We took out Chara. Let's add Chara back to the short list because that might be possible. It was Heatley. It was someone like Fedorov as well. Some of those guys might be back in the running at this point, but I'm honestly not all that concerned. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the news there. Exit autoplay when a player is out for at least a week. When a player is eligible to come off the DL. When a player, if you give me a decent player on waivers, let me know. Personal message, trade proposal, scouting. It's going to be the assistant. Setting training is going to be the assistant. Lineups I'm going to keep the same just so that we don't accidentally lose anybody on waivers. So I am good to go. I am good to just start simming through here. We'll try to keep up with the games as best we can. I don't even have to worry about assigning the numbers. I can just skip that, I do believe. Let me just delete the message. And skip. Actually, I know what I got to do. I'm going to have to turn off personal message. So let me go back. Let me turn off personal message. And now we should be good to go. Maybe. Oh my god. See, this is what I was talking about. I could just assign a number to Heatley, but it's fine. So we have a game coming up with Vancouver. And Steve Ruchin was hurt this entire time. Oh my god. Let's go to setup. And now Ruchin is in the lineup. We sent down Douglas Murray, and Ruchin's better suited for that role. So we can have Sammy Paulson as a healthy scratch, Sauer and Havlid as scratches as well. Ridiculous. Let's see if we can sim a little bit here. We got a game coming up against the Canucks. Yes, I know that Steve Ruchin's back. Thank you. Also, I got to select our captains. Okay. Well, I mean, in terms of captains on this team, I mean, Korea's already the captain. So that's fine. We'll give Selanne alternate number 1 and Niedermayer alternate number 2. There you go. Can we finally get this game done against Vancouver? We can. It's a close one. It's only a 5-4 win. Man, am I going to keep getting... How did I set this up the first time to not get this... to not get this as a problem? Because I'm going to keep getting this email, unfortunately. Let's just assign the number to Heatley, then. It's fine. Just assign it, get it over with. Now, can we progress a little bit is the question. We got a game coming up against Edmonton here. So you can see in the top right-hand corner, it is a tie. All right. Let's delete those messages. We play Toronto and Montreal on consecutive nights. 4-0 win against Toronto and a 3-2 win against the Habs, our Eastern road trip here. Sheldon Surrey goes down to injury. Not sure for how long, but of course we have the defensive depth. As to where we don't really have to care. As we'll have a game coming up against Montreal. We get the scouting report, which of course we don't have to worry about. A couple of familiar names coming into the league. I don't know if I ever got that email response about Legwand, by the way. As we beat Boston 9-0. The Bruins without Joe Thornton, and there's an interesting player on waivers, apparently. Who is it? O'Sullivan, who I can't imagine's that good. He's decent, though. Chris O'Sullivan from Boston? Sure, let's claim him. We have the roster spots. I might as well just take a free player when I can. So that works. As we get a half-decent player for free, the autosave kicks in. We have an 8-1-2 record. Of course, we started off with a 1-1-1 record. As I'm only slightly stuffy. And we also tied San Jose. Board of confidence update. Of course, we went 8-1-2 in the month. Let's keep moving. Game coming up here against Nashville. It's a 5-0 win. Another matchup against Colorado. Although Dany Heatley also goes down to injury. That gets Sammy Paulson back into the lineup and Selanne back on the top line. We will take a look at our roster and at the injury list. Oh boy. All right, that's not good. Sheldon Surrey and Dany Heatley both out for 2 to 3 months. Now the good thing is, again, in terms of forward depth, we have it. We have depth in general, but I can't say I'm too happy about that. Again, Paulson and Ruchin aren't perfect fits for the fourth line. They'll still do all right, but they're not playing their ideal roles. Paulson, I'm going to change you to a grinder. And in terms of screener, I'm going to change that to a punishing forward. So, same thing with Steve Ruchin if I can. At least you're a 2 out of 3 instead of a 1 out of 3. Ruchin can also be a punishing forward because there's nothing else better for him. So, there we go. That helps a little bit. It's now Williams, Francis, and Sikora on the second line. We will continue on. No need to make any changes right now. We're still going to make trades. Make no mistake, as we continue to rack up wins. At the end of the day, like I said, it's a one-year challenge. It's worth making as many of these moves as we possibly can. We did lose to the Devils. No surprise there. We beat Columbus and Detroit. We got a game coming up against the Thrashers. 12-1. 12-1 over Atlanta. 67 shots to 2. They're just not even close. We beat the Rangers 9-1 as well. I mean, without Dany Heatley, we're still steamrolling people. And again, I have other assets to work with. I can make this team even better. Although we did just lose Dvorak and Zinlichki here. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks, and Dvorak's out for a couple of days. That is the one thing that could absolutely slow us down, would be injuries. As we don't even have another forward to call up here, apparently. Well, we do. For some reason, the game didn't call him up. But that's all right. Let's just keep moving forward here. Let's keep moving forward. Players need to be assigned numbers. That'll be Popovich and Samuelson. Really, it's just a matter of who the hell do I want to target. Which, to be honest, I'm thinking the best course of action, wait until deadline day. Or around deadline day. Like a week before deadline day, you can get immediate responses to your trade offers. So you can get a lot done. And I think at that point, the best thing to do will be to look at the top threats in the West, specifically. Of course, I'll be a little bit worried about those in the East, although we can pretty much guarantee it's going to be the Devils that are going to make it. But of course, they have already lost Niedermayer and Rafalski. But it'll be looking at the top teams in the standings. As again, we're up to 23, 2, and 3, steamrolling everybody. It'll be looking at the top teams in the standings and picking away players from those teams as best we can. I think that's the goal. So, let's keep moving. Dvorak is back, I am well aware. Let's keep moving. We're in December already. Keith Carney's now a right defenseman full-time. Williams is a left wing. Beautiful. That is the one thing that's pretty cool as well, and something that I wish was in NHL, to be honest. Not just the, oh, this guy is this good at center, left wing, and right wing. If you play someone at a certain spot for a certain amount of time, that becomes their primary position. It's a pretty cool feature. Got to admit, I like it. So our defense is still unreal. We're still not rolling with a fourth-line right wing, which is amazing. So I'm cool with it. Interesting player on waivers. Who are you going to give to me now? You already gave me Daniel Sedin, and it's Samuelson. It's our own guy who we tried to send back down, which he was a waiver claim. So if he is lost, it is what it is. Although, obviously, he would be an interesting player to be able to trade away. As we'll sim to the next day. It's December 20th. Peter Sikora is out now, too. We are having to deal with quite a few injuries, which is something I was scared of. Douglas Murray is actually in on defense. Interesting decision-making. And we still have Samuelson, as he is now back in the lineup. I'm going to have to assign a number here to Samuelson. So good to see we didn't lose him on waivers. Let's sim forward. 27, 3, and 3 on the year. This isn't going to be Samuelson again. Who's it going to be? Kaltonen. How good's this guy? Let's take a look. 1.5. Jarno Kaltonen. A Bruin. Let's claim him. Let's do it. He's free. We have the spot. Why not? Why not? The rich get richer. As it's another scouting report. Again, guys coming into the league. No big names there, though. Jay McClements and Marcel Gotch are probably the two biggest names on that list. Not enough players. Patrick Waugh has gone down to injury, and that is the reason why it's saying there aren't enough spots. I don't know how to get out of this, because am I going to be... Oh, see, this is where I knew I should have gone out and gotten a goalie just in case. Am I going to be allowed to sign a goaltender even though I have no money to do so? It doesn't matter who it is. Obviously, I can't go for Brizgalov, although you know what? I'm going to be cheeky and try. Actually, then again, he'll get pissed. Alves. Or Alves, perhaps. Can I sign you for dirt cheap? I cannot. So, am I going to have to, like, forfeit this game? What's the deal here? I don't know what to do. Let's see. Trinka, dressed player. Move you to goalie number 2. Not possible. I don't know what I can do here, guys. This could be a problem. This could be a very big problem, because I don't even have the prospect to sign. I don't have the money. Did I just lose the game? Because I forgot to go out and get a goaltender? Thrasher's rights. I don't want to go for Lettinen. Obviously, he's going to be a tad bit too expensive. Boston has Hannu Toivonen. Like, can I trade for him right now? Picks, 8th rounder. See, offer trade. I don't know what I can do in the meantime here. Next week. I know there's not enough players game. I think I just broke the game. I think I just broke the game. And you have no idea how pissed I am because this was the perfect run. Right. What can I do here? Is there an option to forfeit the game so that I don't have to abandon this? Because again, I don't have the money for the free agents right now. I don't have money for anybody. And of course, I can't get an immediate response about a trade offer. Signable goaltenders? Let's look at age. What about Backlund? Am I allowed to sign you? Probably not. Meet demand. There's nothing I can do here. I don't think. Oh, come on, buddy. Quit fucking nickel and diming me here. This is an emergency. Don't be a scumbag. Was I allowed to sign him? Oh my god, I was. Whoo! Oh, thank god. Oh boy. Alright, we also have that offer out for Hannu Toivonen, which is fine. Oh my god, we avoid disaster. And Heckle is on waivers. 1.5-star defenseman, let's claim him. Radoslav Heckle. And he's Slovakian, so I'm probably close enough with the name, I'd hope. That was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying as we get Johan Backlund. Of course, I wasn't picky in terms of being able to sign someone. It was just a matter of, for the love of God, take this offer. And hopefully the Bruins accepted the offer for Toivonen, which they did not. So first things first here, let's get this sorted out for a goaltender. Let's go for the rights to a player. That way I don't have to sign them unless it's an emergency. Andrew Alberts, huh? So we know we had Toivonen there. Or not Toivonen, Lettinen. Curtis McElhinney, 19-year-old Curtis McElhinney. Cam Ward. I was kind of hoping for like a 2-star goaltender. Like I said, because that way too we won't have to worry about sending them down or anything. Looking, Brust, Josh Harding. Man, I haven't heard of Josh Harding in a very long time. Hope that guy's doing alright, man. David Levino. I'm not saying that name. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to give you the joy of hearing me say that name. We might have to go with Hannu Toivonen here. Yeah, we're going to have to. We don't have to, but I want to, because it's Hannu Toivonen, so why not? And in return, how would you like a nice, shiny Herkach? And I'll give you a draft pick just to take him. 8th rounder. 7th rounder. Boston, come on. Don't be ridiculous. Alright, Boston's going to be ridiculous here. Cool. Whatever, I have to do this just to make sure we don't get in trouble again. So, Popovich. It's very likely that they'll accept. Yeah, you don't say. Popovich, can I get a 3rd back? Yes, I can. Whoops, didn't mean to take Toivonen out of there. That's not good. That's what you get for misclicking. Hannu Toivonen. What can we get back in terms of draft picks? How about a nice shiny 2nd? Really? There's no way. My scout has to be lying to me. They won't accept the 1st. 1st and the 3rd is well balanced. Screw it. See if I can get the 2nd. I swear my scout has to be lying to me, which can happen. But you never know, as Samuelsson and Niedermayer are hurt. Oh my god. Now again, we have the depth to put up with this, kind of. But still, it's kind of an issue that the majority of our team, the majority of our players, have already missed game time due to injury. As we hit the new year, welcome to 2003. It's a scary thought to think how many of you listening or watching to this, or watching to this, by the way, that's a thing now. How many of you are listening to this or watching this might not have even been born in 2003. It's a little bit scary. Justin Williams is hurt day-to-day. Niedermayer is also day-to-day. Tremendous. Do we have an answer from Boston? We do. Wow. So I'm going to get that second-round pick for Popovich. I'll take it. And Samuelson suffered a setback. He won't be back anytime soon. That's unfortunate, but that can happen. But there we go. We have our insurance policy now, and Hannu Toivonen. Williams is hurt too. This is killing me, especially now because Alex Burrows is in our lineup. But let's see here. It's very weird that the AI isn't going with anyone on the fourth line, considering, well, actually, we've already called up everyone and people are injured. Now might be a good time to go out and get a little bit more help. That might be a good idea. We have 11 defensemen right now. We need some forward depth. And we're going to use draft picks to get it. Just because of the ungodly amount of injuries. Now, this isn't the ideal way that I wanted to set things up here. But let's get some depth. And we already have Sean McEachern, of course. So let's take him off the short list. But someone like Mike Knuble would be a very good addition right now. Even a Mark Savard in the aftermath. But let's talk to the Boston Bruins again. And we'll see what we can do here. And to be honest, we're going to try to use the majority of draft picks. I'm going to see if I can still get rid of this guy, even though they're probably not going to bite. Because it can be tough. Yeah, they just don't want to accept that. It can be tough to judge draft picks because they don't get back to you about the value. So that's one of the downsides. So let's go with, even though I don't want to give anybody up here, let's go with Heda. So Heda is well balanced. And let's see, what about a third? Not enough. What about a second? So I'm going to go with a second and a seventh and hope that they're willing to accept that. As we'll continue on, we actually lost to Philly, which I suppose doesn't surprise me all that much. Again, given the injuries. And actually, if we take a look right now at the roster, we go to injury list. Yeah, that's a problem. Especially with Sikora also out 2 to 3 months. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable what we're dealing with right now. Let's set up organization. And it did call up that guy as well, so there we go. We're running 4 lines now again, but the ungodly amount of injuries continue to take their toll. The Bruins rejected, so that's unfortunate. That puts me into a little bit of a rough spot where I can't really judge what kind of situation we're in. So I'm going to have to use a defenseman here. We already have a decent amount of defensemen, at least more than we technically need. I mean, I'd like to keep it around 8 or 9 defensemen. I mean, obviously just minimal, but with injuries, with the amount of injuries we've had, that might not be enough. So let's see. Again, I want to talk to them about getting Mike Knuble. And we're going to go back to our players here. We will give you, again, because we're going to look to give up defense here. Let's give you Jan Heda. So that's well balanced. What about a 7th? And an 8th? There we go. So Jan Heda, a 7 and an 8th from Mike Knuble. Not the best deal for us, but we need some forward depth at this point. As Ruchin improved to left wing. I believe Patrick Waugh now is finally back to 100%. Hallelujah. Although Dominik Hasek, of course, has been more than capable of carrying the weight for this team. 32-5-3 now on the season. So Patrick is back. Let's see here if we get an answer. We just lost to Edmonton and Colorado. Back-to-back losses as the Bruins have accepted our offer. So let's get Mike Knuble into the team. And we'll go back to strategy here. Set up organization. So Knuble is in on the 3rd line. If I take a look at our team depth, which is lower than it's ever been, we have 10 defensemen, and that's a number that I don't really want to drop lower than. Forward-wise, we have 6. We have 18 forwards. Okay. So that's not bad. But obviously, a little bit more depth would still be nice. So let's go back to roster. And my strategy here, just because of the crazy amount of injuries of picking from these Western Conference teams, it's in danger a little bit. So let's take Knuble off of the short list. Short list is now down to 76 players. And let's see, we have Savard and Gaborik. Not terrible options. Hatcher is out day to day. A couple of other injuries here amongst some top players. You know what? Let's just move forward for now. I mean, it's about a month or so until deadline day. And let's just hope that this team can get healthy. I mean, the good thing is, of course, we've continued to win games despite having a few more losses here and there. If we take a look at the standings, and league-wide, we are still the top team in the league on 69 points. Colorado, Detroit, not far back. That is a problem. You look at the cleared separation that we have, Colorado and Detroit as well. Edmonton's up there, and then it drops off. St. Louis, and then it really drops off. So there's some bad teams in this conference. Colorado, despite us taking their starting goaltender, of course, are still going to be an issue when you have the players that they do. And if we look at the point totals here, Forsberg has 62 points in 44 games. Sakic has 51. Hayduk is also over a point a game player. Rob Blake is close to doing that as a defenseman. We're in trouble here. We're in a very tough division. That's, of course, the issue. But because of all these injuries, I haven't been able to necessarily focus and conserve our assets in terms of being able to be like, okay, yeah, now let's target Colorado and weaken them. Let's target Detroit and maybe even Edmonton and weaken them. We need this team to stay healthy. Now, I did say it was a risk getting some of the players that I did in terms of their injury proneness, for lack of a better term. But I don't think anyone could have predicted, I guess, could have predicted that Surrey and Heatley would each miss 2 to 3 months. They're still out. You know, our first line wing is still out. Interesting player on waivers, though, could be a gigantic help. And it's Sami Kapanen, so it's our own guy. That's unfortunate. Speaking of injury prone, with the injury tendencies. So Kapanen is back from waivers, but Kapanen's back from injury, but we had to put him through waivers. And also, here we go. So this is going to be big in terms of whether or not certain people clear waivers because people are coming back. Heatley is back, which is tremendous for us. So right now, Trenka, Vishnevsky, and Paulson are currently the healthy scratches. I didn't even bother checking to see if Kapanen's back, and this waiver offer will more than likely be our own guy. And it's indeed... No, it's Peter Ferraro. Oh my God, because I know we talked to that guy from Boston. Also, he's playing for the Portland Pirates. That's amazing. And of course, I'm going to make a claim for him. If I can get a free player, why would I not, right? At this point, considering we have no money for free agents whatsoever, of course I'm going to, target whatever guy I can. And Sheldon Surrey will be back here soon. He is back now. Tremendous. So it's just Sikora and Samuelson that are still out. And of course, Samuelson's more trade bait than anything. Sheldon Surrey is back. 36, 8-3 now on the season. As we'll see who's on waivers. And it's Trenka, our own defenseman. So hopefully he clears. That would be helpful. Let's see what we got. We lost to LA. We got a big game against the Devils that we're able to win. Let's see here. Surrey's back, and that's all that was. Nothing major there. Let's actually take a look here around the league at events. The deadline is March 11th, so we still have a little bit of time. In this episode, I am only going to sim up to the deadline. We'll be able to make our final moves in the next episode and sim through the playoffs. So that's how I'm shaping things up to be. So these one-year challenges where we're making a crazy amount of moves, I'm thinking like 3 episodes is pretty much what it will be. Samuelson's almost back. I'm going to have to handle this in a very interesting way, though. Or a very different way compared to what I thought I'd have to do. Samuelson's back, so we'll go to strategy. 41, 10-4 on the season. Just beat Carolina 5-0. As the line is set yet again. Andy McDonald at a 2.5 rating is now the healthy scratch. Interesting player on waivers is Samuelson again. All right. Well, hopefully he will clear yet again. Help us out a little bit by not losing anybody for free. And I believe he made it, so that's good. So we beat Calgary, I think that was 5 or 6-1. We beat Dallas and Oh boy, that's not good. So many injuries. So many injuries. Dvorak's out for 1 to 2 weeks with a stomach virus. Sakura still recovering from the fractured tibia. Yikes, as Trinka gets called up yet again. So we have enough depth to at least make it through this, but again, it is an issue. Interesting player on waivers. It is Smith. Let's take a look. Is it Derek Smith? It's DJ Smith. All right. Yeah, let's claim him. 1.5 rating. I'll gladly take another defenseman on this team. No problem there. Let's see if it actually puts him on the roster. It does not, but it did put Kurt Sauer back on the third pairing. We beat Columbus 7-4. Another player on waivers. It's still Smith. Okay. Oh, I guess Nashville was lower than us in the standings. So they claimed him and then immediately put him on waivers anyway. So maybe we'll get him this time. Hopefully. And we did. All right. So Nashville was able to get him the first time. And we're able to get him the second time. So DJ Smith, welcome to Anaheim. You're not in the lineup, but that's okay. You're a little bit of depth for us. You're a little bit of depth on a team that doesn't have any. As a waiver offer is in, and DJ Smith is on waivers, but that's fine. If we lose him, so be it. All right, so we beat Carolina 4-3. Dvorak is almost back. Should be pretty nice. 47-11-4 on the season. We beat Tampa. We beat the Panthers. We beat Phoenix. And Dvorak is 100%. So welcome back, Erratic. Still not running with a fourth line right wing half the time, though. Interesting decision on our AI's part. Who's on waivers? It's Trinka again, which we might lose him. But again, if that's the case, I'm all right with it. As we are approaching deadline day. Actually, we are close enough now that the trades might immediately go through as we beat Atlanta. So let's see here. We still have quite a bit to work with. If we look at our depth chart, we at least have some depth now. But in terms of trading some prospects, that's a little bit risky now at this point. I'd say with the amount of injuries we have, it might be worth keeping a Douglas Murray, and Alex Burrows, a Sammy Kapanen, and a Mikhail Samuelsson, as opposed to before, where it definitely wasn't. So I'm not entirely sure. I haven't run into the situation where I haven't, I've never run into the situation where I've put my team $8 million in the hole in terms of being able to afford signing free agents. But also there were quite a few free agents at the start of this that were available to be signed. So the question is, as we take a look at our draft picks, which again, we have a lot of draft picks, how do we want to do this? Can we get the immediate answer is my question. So let's go... Let's see if I can do things this way here. Let's try to upgrade our draft picks a little bit. So 7th and an 8th for a 6th. Okay, I'm still not at the point where I can get the immediate answer. So that's unfortunate. Let's sim till next week. Thrasher said no, but there we go. We got the email about the deadline. So now we'll get immediate answers about trades, which is pretty nice. So again, let's try to cut a deal with Atlanta, as I want to try to upgrade my draft picks as best I can. So that's not enough, which is shocking, actually, that that's not enough. Let's see. Is that enough? Still no, really. Just that much to upgrade the pick. All right, well, Atlanta's playing hardball. So let's not do it that way. Instead, let's go over to this menu here, and I want to use this guy. I'm going to go to Atlanta, and we'll use Odgers, and that will be the judge for how much we can improve our draft pick situation. Is we'll use their 3rd round pick, and we're going to throw in the 8th, the 7th, the 5th. All right, instead, let's go the 8th, the 7th, and the 6th. Take out the 8th, take out the 7th. How about a 6th and an 8th? No. So we can do, again, I can't pronounce his name, but along with a 6th and a 7th for Odgers and a 3rd. Let's do that as we get the immediate deal. Are we being extremely cheap about this? Yes. Welcome. You thought I pick Horde in an NHL. Welcome. But if you ever saw me play on stream, you'll know that I'm a little bit ruthless. But I got to do what I got to do. I want to win in year 1. What can I say? The Thrashers will not trade this terrible player. All right, cool. What about this terrible player? Thank you. They'll never accept. Oh, really? Oh, really? What if I add this guy right back in? They'll never accept. All right, well, I can see why they don't want to trade him. What about, I don't know. All right, Atlanta, you're going to be difficult, so let me go talk to Boston. And let me go after Henderson. And I will add in Odgers. It's hardly likely that they'll accept. It's all well and good. Bruins picks, 3rd rounder. They'll never accept. Oh, they will. Believe me. How about a 5th? Hardly likely. How about an 8th? And a 9th. You know what? They might actually not accept. That might be a thing. The 7th, still not enough. How about a 4th? Boston's actually going to be very difficult about this, and it might be because Boston's very good or very bad. So let's talk to Colorado, who more than likely have a very low pick, which we basically know. Merrick's Fatos. What about Brule here? And we'll go back to our team. We'll add in Odgers, and that's well balanced. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So now we go to your picks. We go to your 1st. They'll never accept. We'll go to your 2nd. They'll never accept. Okay, you know what? No, we will go to your 1st. I'll go to my picks, and we'll go 4th, 5th, 5th, and no. Okay, wow. Now again, they're gonna hold pat. You know what? In fairness, I do recall playing this game on stream, beating the Islanders challenge my first attempt by doing nothing but trades, and having the actual OOTP developments account in my chat being like, man, whole lot of trades there. So I wonder if they patch this a little bit because of me and my methods here of just destroying the AI to get higher picks. So 2 4ths and 2 5ths for a 2nd. I'll do it. So thank you, Colorado. Let's go back to trades. Let's talk to Detroit since we know they'll have a high pick. We're going to use Brule, who we just acquired. And from you, we will take, hopefully not a goalie. We'll take Bootland, because his name is Daryl Bootland, although they don't want to trade him, which is unfortunate. What about, oh, Larionov probably can't even play anymore, right? So let's go with King. I know it says they'll never accept, but we'll try to force their hand for a 2nd round pick. So we'll go to our picks. Let's go an 8th, 4th, 7th, and a 9th. And I just want to get as good of a draft pick out of this as I possibly can. So let's go with a 4th. Which, to be honest, suddenly makes it not worth it. So what if I take out King? And actually, there we go. I might not even have to do that. No, I still have to. I still have to use that one player, unfortunately, to be able to gauge the interest. So maybe Detroit isn't the right business partner here. Let's talk to Edmonton. Brule. I think we're offering way too much, really. I'll be the judge of that. 2nd rounder isn't enough. 3rd rounder still isn't enough. We might actually not be able to pull this off. It's weird, though, because we do have the 4th round pick. So what if I take out the 4th and just add in like a 5th? What if I add in a 6th? That's only well balanced. Okay, so at this point, we can't really trade up that much further, is what I'm learning here. Those extra few picks are going to have to stay. So that leaves us with a 2nd, a 2nd, a 3rd, a 2nd, a 3rd, a 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Not too shabby. Which means, let's take a look at the standings first and foremost, in which case Detroit and Colorado are still right there. So let's talk to the old Detroit Red Wings, who appear to be our biggest competition right now. Their top players include Lidstrom, Fedorov, Shanahan, and Yzerman. And then, of course, you have a young Datsuk and Zetterberg, who are already tremendous. So, Lidstrom, for example. Right, Nick Lidstrom. You know him. You love him. Nick Lidstrom. Say I add Alex Burrows to this. And then I go to picks. And then I just start piling on draft picks. Is it possible? If I add a scrub, it might be. Bootland? Not enough. What about Larionov? And Bootland? No. So Lidstrom is just out of the realm of possibility. That's what we're learning here. Actually, didn't mean to sort that again. Fedorov is not. So a Sergei Fedorov is possible to get. Again, the question is, though, is it better to take their top players, or is it better to weaken the core, the Drapers, the Holmstroms, even the Yzermans, the young Cronwall, the 41-year-old Chelios? That is the question. Because their top line will still be able to compete. Their goaltender, Cujo, might still be able to compete. And to be honest, if I can snag Cujo here, they still have Manny Legacy. What if I can snag Legacy as well and leave them with nobody unless they make a trade? So we go with Cujo, we go with Legacy, we go with Holmstrom, we go with Draper, and that's well balanced. So I could take Lidstrom, or I could take their two goaltenders, move them to the east, get draft picks back, and restock. But I can weaken their depth by taking away their goaltending. I think that's what I'm going to do. Can I add a draft pick to this? Third rounder? What about a second rounder? First rounder? How about a second and a sixth? Nope. Just a second. I'm good with this. Cujo, Legacy, Holmstrom, and a second for Burrows, a first, and 3 seconds. I'm good with that. Absolutely, because that weakens Detroit's goaltending. We don't have the money. What if I take out Holmstrom and we go with Draper instead? And what if I then try to maneuver with the draft pick again? Still well balanced. All right, so we'll go with second and a sixth. Still too much. All right, so the second round pick. Can I use Draper instead? I cannot. All right, what if I take out Draper and we just worry about weakening the goaltending? How about a first and a second? We're going to be able to get a lot back here, actually. We just don't have to give up as much. So what if I give you Burrows and a fourth? That's well balanced. How about Burrows, a fourth and a ninth and an eighth and a seventh? I am adding the wrong picks, I just noticed. Like right as I clicked the button the last time, I'm like, that is way too many picks. I think they'll probably accept. Oh wow, so they just accept that for Burrows. So actually, yeah, I do need to go back to the picks. What about a first? I don't think they'll accept. What about a second? Third? Fourth? Jump down to the sixth. There we go. All right, now let's try the fifth again for the hell of it. So Burrows for Cujo, Legacy, and a fifth to weaken their goaltending, and I don't have to give up any picks. We can't add that much salary. We don't. Oh man, this is tough now. We don't have the space. We do not have the space to make this happen. Disney, put more money into this team, damn it. So I am not going to be able to weaken this team the way that I want to weaken this team. Even if you look at the money that a Holmstrom and a Draper are making, I don't think I'm going to have the cap space, so to speak, even though there isn't a salary cap. I'm just not going to have the money. I don't have the budget to pay for these guys. So we better hope that we're good enough. Because from the looks of it, I don't have the money to weaken any of our competition anymore, which, I mean, isn't surprising when you look at the amount of money that we are paying some of these people. We already have quite the cap hit, so to speak, again, because there isn't actually a cap. Actually, that makes me wonder. If I go to front office, nope, not front office, finances. Projected budget room, 6 million. Eesh. Yeah, it's a rough situation to be in right now. So our budget is 37 million. Our player payroll is 43, the highest in the league. So the question is, the good thing is I can't get fired right now. I'd probably get fired at the end of the first year, but I can't get fired right now. So the question is then, who can I get? If I look at our short list, unfortunately I can't see the salary on the players from the short list from here, so that's unfortunate. So what if I even go after a Matt Sundin, for example? $3 million bucks, he probably makes too much. Probably makes too much. So you know what? I do have a way to go about this, but it involves moving big player for big player. Don't crash. Don't crash. Do not crash. Spinning wheel of death, please God, no. Now here's the thing. It only sets me back till March 2nd because of the autosave. But I am just going to call it here because it's going to take a while to load the game back up and all that fun stuff. So that's where we'll end this episode, and it'll give me a moment to think as far as what do I want to do in terms of the moves that I want to make. But seeing the budget concerns, so to speak, I know what I have to do, and it's going to involve moving our bigger and better players for other players. So moving our 3-star players for 4-star players, maybe even moving our 4-star players for 5-star players. We have to move big salary for big salary involving draft picks to make that happen. So that is our only move. We do have a 53-11-4 record, so in a way the rich is going to keep getting richer, but that does create the issue where I cannot weaken the Western Conference teams. Instead, I am going to have to move a big name to the Eastern Conference along with draft picks to get an even bigger name back. So that'll be the question when we hit the playoffs in the next episode, is whether or not that's going to be our crucial mistake in not being able to weaken Colorado, Detroit, and Edmonton in a sufficient enough way to pull off a miracle and win the cup in year 1 on our first attempt of this challenge. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this marathon episode. Like I said, FHM4 is not done on this channel. I had to take a little bit of a step back, though, to get things set for NHL 18 in terms of the roster editing. But yeah, for now, we're good. I'm intrigued to know what you thought of this episode, what moves you think I should maybe make here. But again, keep in mind, we're pretty much locked into only one approach at this point in time. So for now, have a good one. Enjoy your day, your night, your afternoon. I don't know. I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.